Interested. So we've got apologies. I've got Nikki, obviously. Any further apologies? No. So moved Councillor Blackie, seconded Councillor Cairns. Put it, all those in favour, please say aye. Votes carried. Conflicts of interest, anybody got one? No. Confirmation of minutes of the last. Somebody prepared to move. We'll move Councillor Redmond, seconded Councillor Cairns. I'll put it, all those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. I have no deputations, takes us through the reports. 5.1, Kaiapoi Community Hub.
Kia ora all. So I'm presenting a report today to seek approval for reallocation of budget from the land purchase Ravenswood Community Centre budget through to the community Kaiapoi Hub budget. That's to allow completion of services and electrical to the hub site. Now the installation of services and electrical wasn't included in the initial tender or budget allocation, as we had deemed that that was the responsibility of the leaseholders. Following on from that, we had in place the Kaiapoi Community Hub Trust, which was established, and that unfortunately dissolved. And through that trust, they were going to be responsible for those services. Another point just to note is the lighting for the hub car park. That was also not planned. That came along through the resource consent process later on through the project. So I'll take the report as read and open up for any questions.
Questions? Councillor Redmond.
Thank you. I noticed in the recommendation G that the Croquet Club are exchanging their current property for 2 new greens being built by the council. What's the purchase price in the sale and purchase agreement for the Croquet Club land?
Chris, can you answer that one?
Yeah. The sale price is 0. We're not purchasing the land off them. There's a deal in the agreement that we have that we will look to do a transfer on the basis that we provide them with 2 lawns which are fenced around an area which is 4 lawns large. We've completed that at the moment, and that the transfer would occur once the lawns were up to a standard which followed a process identified in conjunction with the Croquet Club and ourselves. So we would expect that in spring next year, once the croquet lawns are up to that standard and they can start to transfer across, then we would look to do the land transfer across at no cost at that time, noting that our cost associated with that deal is $250,000 to $300,000 in actually providing those assets for them, and that is in lieu of any land purchase price.
That, would you agree that's in excess of what the land of the Croquet Club, which is somewhat titled, might be worth?
Yes, I would.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In terms of the reallocation from the land purchase of Ravenswood, by approving this now, will this put any jeopardy on the purchase of the land property in Ravenswood? Like, does it need to be spent now as opposed to after we've already purchased the property in Ravenswood, please?
I can probably answer that because I'm looking after that project. You'll recall that we had a public excluded report that came to council, which council approved a certain amount of money to pursue a piece of land in the Woody Ravenswood area. Through that process, there was a valuation identified to council, and there was an amount of money that council provided staff to negotiate. The amount of money that council provided based on that valuation was quite a long way from the budget which was allocated for the land in the first place. The reason that there's a difference is because the budget identified originally was on the basis of residential land. The land we're looking at pursuing is some rural at the moment, so there's a difference. We don't think there's any risk in not being able to have enough money if this report is approved.
All right, thanks, Chris.
Councillor Blackie.
Chris, can you, or someone, can you update us on what's happening to Croquet in situ before they ever get their act together with a new clubhouse? What's the situation in the next year, maybe 2 years?
Just can probably answer that.
So at the moment, we're working on the current state of the lawns which have been grown. That's not ready for handover as yet. We're probably looking at early next year before that can be handed over. They've been granted around $10,000 to move some soil for building of the other lawns, which they're working on at the moment. They've also been gifted a clubhouse from St Paul's, an old tennis pavilion in Christchurch. So they're currently looking at the structural engineering of that, whether that can be relocated. And then they're also fundraising on the side of that for a maintenance shed to house their lawnmower, things like that. So they've got a whole lot of fundraising, but they are very resourceful. So that's kind of what they're undertaking in this year.
So if we take over that land next year, say, do we inherit the club roots, what that's worth, about -$10? And what do we, and demolition costs, where do we sit with that?
So all of that would be are you talking about Murphy Park, sorry?
Yes, yes, they're all there.
Yes, so that would be included in the Murphy Park Rowan Precinct project that we're working on at the moment. So once they move off-site, we're currently working on the master plan for the area. And part of that is obviously demoing that, and that's included in the budget we've got allocated.
Thank you.
Councillor Williams?
Just make sure those figures will get corrected before we pass something that's got incorrect figures.
Yeah, so in recommendation D at the moment, it identifies that we would have $3,973 remaining. That should be $3,973,000 remaining. That's my bad, and putting decimal places in the wrong place. So thanks for pointing that out.
Any further questions? You got a question or moving?
Question.
Right.
Thanks, Ish. Did I hear you say that the Croquet Club are looking at relocating a building from Christchurch?
Correct, yes.
Right. Will that meet the design criteria? Yes,
Yes, it
quite a
is.
nice building, is it?
Yeah, it's just a very small pavilion. So it does, as part of the design guidelines and the requirement for leasing on the site, that they do have to meet that. So for this building, it probably looks like a new roof, a lick of paint, and certain foundations.
Okay, thank you.
Any further?
Happy to move.
Councillor Blackie, seconded. Councillor Cairns. Councillor Blackie?
Yep, very briefly. Thanks for the report, team. Yeah, good. The finances stack up. We're not discriminating against Ravenswood. The money, the 300 and whatever it is coming over 1,000 is good. If we don't do this, it's no exaggeration to say the project will stall. We're well committed down the road to get this thing going. The food rescue side of it, with all the food shortage problem out there, is critical. Menshed and Croaky anyway are committed. Menshed hopefully aren't far behind, so it's a win-win.
Councillor Cairns?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I concur with Councillor Blakey and his comments. The Menshed, Satisfied Food Rescue and the other groups that are going to be moving into the community hub are going to be extremely grateful for Council to provide this additional level of service. So well done to the team. Thank you.
Any other members? Nothing to reply, Councillor Blackie. I'll put it. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. So, changes to criteria for the vulnerable fund. In your hands.
Thanks. So, yeah, talking about the changes to the Biodiversity Contestable Fund. Currently, the fund is open all year round to anybody who lives in the district, has a project in the district, and has a mapped SNA. There's just shy of $100,000 in the account, and each year the amount goes up. This year it's going to get another additional 35,000 put into that fund. Last year we had about $10,000 go out to an SNA landowner. Currently we've got lots of requests from people, from other landowners that don't have SNAs, mapped SNAs on their land, requests for ecological plans and requests for funding so that they can create significant areas on their land, but we have no funds to give them. Sometimes these might be significant areas that just aren't mapped in our district plan, or the landowners might want to actually produce an area which is significant in the future. So we'd like to open up the fund and put in some stringent criteria, have 2 funding rounds so that projects can be assessed against each other. There's also some zipper funding, which is allocated $20,000 a year for community groups, and the criteria are outlined in the report.
You've got questions? Councillor Blakey?
Yeah, thanks, Biggs. Page 56 in Diligent, under the who can apply, you say the fund is not available for work where there is a legal obligation to do. What's the definition of that legal? I'm thinking NES. We're mandated to do stuff under NES, right? So what's the difference between that and legal obligation in your? How do the two fit?
So that's surrounding if you have gone for a consent application and you, as part of your consent conditions, you have to say plant an area up. You can't apply to this fund to get the money to do that planting. Or it's around sort of consents rather than what we have in the NES. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So it's not an aspirational thing in the NES that we should be doing it anyway. It's the legal mumbo jumbo of actually applying. Okay.
We can add in a definition. It's no problem.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's all right. No, she's explained.
Any other questions, Councillor Williams?
Does the council send somebody out after the planting to make sure planting's been done and successful?
That's right. So we're in touch with the applicants throughout the process, and then at the end they have to show us what work has been done. It should be described in their application. And normally we would go out, because we've got that relationship with the landowner, then we would go out and see what work's been going on, or if for whatever reason we can't get out there, we'd take pictures and send us a report.
Councillor Fulton?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question about where you've got shared title, multiple ownership. I'm looking at my Hariri, again, pick up some titles at Oxford Reserve land, where potentially you're in the hot zone for applicants, but you've only, so who would apply in that case if you've got multiple owners of the property? And how do you apply? Can you still be eligible?
Multiple owners of for a project.
On the property, I'm thinking like over to the Lees Valley, like a track, there's areas in there where it's a marriage reserve title and there's a lot of owners.
Yeah.
That's where you.
Yes, please.
So we did have a case of that a couple of years ago where there actually was an SNA application come in, and it turned out that there were actually 3 different owners within the same wetland. Now, while the work would have benefited the entire wetland, at the end of the day, they couldn't apply for money on their neighbouring property. If something was held in a trust and they had particular criteria around this is who can and can't make decisions around this property, then we'd have to make sure that we explore that quite carefully as well. So that's part of the evaluation process. We make sure that we know that we're working with the landowner, or if it's a leaseholder, that we're actually working with their landowner as well.
Any questions?
In D, in the recommendations, shouldn't we, after it says approves the recommendation of 2 funding rounds, shouldn't we, after rounds, have per year in there just to make it quite clear? I mean, we know what we're talking about, but it doesn't actually say per year.
For per annum. Are you happy to move, Councillor Blakey, with that per annum?
Yep.
Seconded. Mr. Mayor?
Very little to add. The twice a year thing I think is really good, and the other recommendations are fine by me.
Mr. Mayor?
Just support those remarks and just acknowledge the work that Bex and the team do put in. It's an area where I think we do make a real difference and are making a difference. So we appreciate all that effort that's going in. Approving this is just another step down that journey. So thank you, and I'm in full support of what you're doing. Thank you.
Any other councillors? No reply. Put it. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Carried. Through to the aquatics report, please.
Thanks for having me. I'll take the report largely as read. I just want to draw your attention to the two items for discussion and agreement on the way forward. So the first being we've received a request from the Westpac Rescue Helicopter Service around the supporting their medics to get some swim training within our facilities. So there's three options there. One, to offer the 7 medics who live within our district a free pass. The option 2 is to do nothing, of course. Option 3 is to offer a partial discount similar to what we've done with other groups, such as fire, police, ambulance. And that's a discount of 30%. Of course, that's unlikely to be taken, but that's, of course, their decision. So the other matter is around the discounted parent and preschooler rates. So we did a 6-month trial of these within the district at our facilities. There's some numbers in the table there. It seems to have been pretty well used. So we're looking for direction on the 3 options we have here. Remove all entry fees. This would align with the approach that Christchurch City Council has. However, it has quite a large impact to our income, or would have a large impact to our income, and it's not the option we recommend. The second option is to continue with the pricing as we've done through the trial. This would align with our wider pricing structure. And it is a community services cards are a means tested program, so it would ensure that any benefit is being received by those who need it most. And option 3 is to return to our previous policy where we didn't actually have a community services card rate. I'm happy to take any questions.
Questions? Councillor Redmond.
Hello, Matt. Looking at the Westpac people's application, what do Selwyn, do we know what they do? We see the Christchurch free access. Do we know what Selwyn do?
No, I don't. That would be a good question. From what I understand, the majority of I think there was about 40 staff that they have, 40 medics in the rotation. The majority of those live in Christchurch, which is of course why they have that that set up with Christchurch. They reached out to us because they've identified that 7 live in our district. So no, I didn't ask Selwyn, but yeah, that would be a good question.
Right. Secondly, just looking on page 65 of Diligent, we do give some discounts to various groups. I notice Rangiora High School staff is one of those. What is the rationale for that discount? Bearing in mind we have Kaiapoi High School, New Life, and I think maybe Oxford Area School or whatever they have. Is there a reason why it's Rangiora High School?
I believe Rangiora High School is the only one who's taken us up on it. So it was a process bit of a program that we put together to try and drive a bit more business through our memberships and concession card program. We reached out to a number of schools and offered out discounts if they were to send, if they were to recommend as part of a healthy workplace agreement, to support their staff to purchase a membership, that we'd offer them a discount. I believe Rangiora High is the only one who's taken us up on that, but we're happy to extend that to other high schools and educators if you feel that's appropriate.
well, I just wanted the rationale for it, or else take that one away. NZRT 12 have freestanding membership. Do you see the helicopter people being closely aligned with that group? It's really the only one that has the free membership.
I suppose there's a volunteer aspect to the NZRT 12. I don't have a lot of experience with either helicopters or NZRT 12 other outside of the council standard civil defence response process, which I've been involved in a couple of times. So it's probably a little bit outside of my wheelhouse to say how aligned their activities are. But yes, there is alignment there.
Right, thanks.
Councillor Cairns.
Thank you, Matt. Following on from Councillor Redmond's comments or questions with regard to the chopper, is it a legal requirement or a qualification that they actually have to swim with regard to retaining the ability to actually ride on the helicopters and that sort of thing?
Correct. My understanding from them, and maybe I didn't include that might have been in the attachment, but it is a requirement that they do a timed swim. I think it was 9 minutes, something like 20 minutes and 9 minutes, or something quite intense. It is a requirement that they're flight ready. To remain flight ready, they need to do that timed swim. So they need that swimming fitness, yes.
So that would be quite different from the NZRT 12, where because they're volunteers, they wouldn't have to do this sort of thing, whereas the chopper paramedics would actually have to do this. Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions at all? Somebody prepared to move? Mayor Gordon, seconded Councillor Cairns. Mayor Gordon.
Thank you for the report, Matt. Realise that a lot of challenges for you over the last period of time. It's very satisfying to see where the overall satisfaction is sitting at. I'm comfortable with what you're recommending here. It's no different than what we're offering to other groups. So it's, to me, I'm perfectly satisfied there. So yeah, in support of what you're doing and the team down there. And if you can just, we always value what goes on in our aquatic facilities. They're highly valued along with our libraries in our district. And obviously, I get nothing but good comments back around that. And look, we have a few feedbacks from time to time, but we're always welcome that. That's our opportunity in which to just enhance that service even better. But we appreciate your leadership in that space.
Cairns.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks, Matt, for your report. I concur with Mayor Dan's comments. I know personally a number of the paramedics on the chopper service, and I think they'll be truly delighted with the idea of receiving free annual memberships to our pools. I love the idea of the continued 25% discount with regard to parent and preschool. I think trying to get kids into the pool and getting them comfortable and learning to swim, not necessarily learning to swim, but being comfortable with the water, so as they can then at some stage go on to learn to swim and enjoy those programs that the pools offer. Yeah, I think this is all good work, so well done, Matt and the team.
Councillor Redmond.
Thank you. I'll be supporting the recommendation, although it is hard to compare the various groups because they're all doing good work in the community, the Helicopter Trust and NZRT 12 and the other groups. So it is hard to differentiate between a 30% discount or 100%. I mean, they're all doing good work. What I noticed the Air Rescue Trust people offered, they saw it as a form of sponsorship. So it's sort of a marketing type letter. If you give us a discount, we'll give you publicity and acknowledge your support. So I would suggest that if this recommendation is approved, that we take them up on that and get some PR and marketing and use their channels to support or promote our pools in particular and acknowledge our support. So it's a difficult thing to weigh up two apples and oranges. But, thanks for trying.
Any other members? Mayor Gordon? No. I'll put it. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you, Nick. Libraries.
Kia ora koutou, it's my pleasure to present the library's update up to the 16th of May. I'll take this largely as read, but do want to draw your attention to a couple of items. One being 4.1, our work becoming dementia friendly accredited, which that will make us the first library in the region to have gone through a training program with Alzheimer's New Zealand. We've also been doing some work recently with Dementia Canterbury and the Reading Revolution, which is a social enterprise. So our team have all been training, completing a module which will enable them to better support members of our community with dementia. Dementia is just such a so widespread in our community. There's about 70,000 New Zealanders with dementia, which is predicted to rise to about 170,000 people by 2050. And in terms of their experiences in our library, it's become a lot more common, particularly with our older community members that are very comfortable in our spaces and very familiar with us. So just the other day I was talking to an elderly farmer and he was telling me about his dementia diagnosis. And in really good spirit, he said, please don't let me get the bloody same book out twice. It's actually really nice. It's a really important piece of work for us. And so it begins with us becoming accredited, and that will be displayed in our libraries, and that's about making those community members feel more comfortable in the space. The other component to that is some programming that we're doing where we're actually inviting people into our spaces with dementia and engaging with them via our local heritage collection, our waimakariri heritage online repository, which is lots of photographs, and also artefacts at the Kaipapa Museum as well. So there's quite a lot of work underway in that space. Secondly, and on a completely different end of the spectrum, is the establishment of our Code Club, which is a first for us. So in the final 3 weeks of term one, we launched a Code Club, which is actually already at capacity. So that involves groups of 10 to 12 young people coming into our space once a week. Some of them bring their own devices, some of them use devices within the library, and they learn how to code. So they're building software platforms and games and things. It's an informal opportunity to build social skills in young people, and that has been really successful. We are now looking at opportunities to expand that program to Kaipapa and Oxford, as well as a real appetite for those experiences in the community. Part of it is around confidence building, the ability to problem solve, and we know through research that it encourages vocational skills in the IT industry as well. So it's a very positive program to offer. I welcome questions.
Questions? Councillor Rubin?
I won't disappoint you, Mr. Chair. Luke, a good report. Do you have any idea, given that we're an ageing population in Waimakariri, how many dementia sufferers you actually have using the library?
No, I'm not aware of the specific number in this community, but as I said, there's around 70,000 people globally in New Zealand that are suffering from dementia.
Right. I'm not saying it'll apply to me, but it's nice to know you'll have something to help if it does.
Councillor Keys?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In terms of the 16,500 people that visited the library during the school holidays in April, is that an increase or is that the total number?
That is the total number, yeah, that was actually an increase on our April school holiday volumes from last year.
So what sort of numbers are coming through the libraries on a monthly basis or a weekly basis? Do you know?
I would have to work it out. On a busy day, we can have around 2,000 people, so 1,300 people at Bloody World, which is our busiest club.
In terms of the Code Club, is this something that your own staff actually are teaching others to do, or actually are you getting an external trainer in to do that?
Yeah, so Code Club is a social enterprise, which is a national entity, and so that works on volunteers. So the person that comes in to present this is a high school teacher who teaches computer science with a computer science background.
Oh, okay.
And supported by our team.
And final question, Mr. Chair, in terms of the dementia, there is dementia rest home care and the likes of Ryman here in Raniora. Do you actually take the library to them, or do they actually come to you? And is there the facilities to actually go to the likes of Ryman or the other rest homes throughout the district and actually share what you have in terms of the facilities?
Yeah, we would like to build the offering. To start with, it will be an experience within the library. We have a really good relationship with rest homes, particularly through the work that Jeanette Bush does in our team. So we are aiming to widen the net.
Excellent.
Thanks for that. Councillor Fulton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick one on Code Club. You say it's a social enterprise running it, presumably. Is there a cost to expansion? That's also it's a feeder into a business enterprise in the IT sector. Is there any relationships or partnerships we could have that could actually help fund the expansion? Because they're going to be the beneficiaries, aren't they?
Yes,
in a few years.
So it's run as a not-for-profit, and the presenters they participate on a voluntary basis. In other parts of the country, there are partnerships with local tech firms, for example, and so they can donate hardware. We know that many people in our community are digitally, they don't have access to technology. So that's part of the benefit of this offering is that they can come in and use our devices. But if we were to partner with another agency, they might be able to access low cost
It just
devices.
seems like, for instance, the gaming sector, we were calling out people saying we've got this brain drain, and yet here we are. It's a great program for sure.
Moved Councillor Cairns, seconded Councillor Redmond. Councillor Cairns.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Luke, for stepping up and being acting in charge of the libraries. Love the work that you guys and the team do within the libraries. It just goes to show that libraries are not just books, particularly in regards to the Code Club. I also look at the opportunities of the Code Club extending into maybe the Merrill Job Task Force and that sort of thing, opening up opportunities for our young ones within the district to take on different types of job that they would not normally have an opportunity to try out for. So congratulations on the work that you're doing. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Councillor Redmond.
Thank you. Yes, a very good report, Luke. And I'd like to congratulate you also on a very good budget. You're under budget. We'll be making money out of the library shortly. I also think the dementia collaboration is a very good one. And I see, and I think Councillor Cairns mentioned retirement villages, which are presumably one of the captive areas where you may find support for that service. And coding was not something I knew much about until I went to an open school day and discovered that some schools are teaching coding, and you see all these little robotic things running around, and it's quite fascinating. So we've gone from one extreme to my generation with Alzheimer's to the younger people with their coding, so you're covering the field. So a very good report, more than happy to support it. Thank you.
Any other speakers at all? Want to reply?
Thank you, no.
No. I'll put it. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against? Carried. So we go to correspondence, which is nil. Portfolio, green space, Councillor Wacky.
Thank you. Yeah, not a whole lot to report. Huria Mahangakai, progressing well. If you haven't been down and seen the new timber works that are going in, the entryway and the fences, and go down Courtney Drive and have a look. Looking most impressive, and what they call ready grass. The contractor is doing a really good job there. Tikahaka generally, our new manager, Nick Moody, is in place. We only employ people called Nick as general managers there, and he's bedding in nicely. We have a bit of a funding problem coming our way with Tikahaka. One of our major sources of funding has dried up unexpectedly. I'll come back to you with some details of that after our meeting next Wednesday and the trust meeting and the implications of what that might mean for us. But it's not a crisis, but it's a problem. Mean shed. Oh, yeah, we've got the mean shed production line tuning out 2-seater seats, like very much like the one we put in at Tuahiwi, that are going into our reserves. We've had 3 made, and we've got 2 more in the pipeline coming along at a very good price, so that's encouraging. The other thing we've got, which is just a little item, reels. The reels that wire cable comes rolled on, just the little ones about the size of a coffee table, the height of this table and that diameter. We've sourced a free supply of those from a firm in Christchurch, and we're getting a few dozen of them, going to put them in the dog parks and the reserves as play toys, sit on coffee tables, picnic tables, whatever, and just see how that goes. That's me.
Thank you, Councillor Blakey. The next one's community facilities, which is me. So the Southbrook Sports Club, we've had a couple of meetings, that's Chris and Graham myself, with the Southbrook Sports Club to discuss future. This is pre-LTP. Productive meetings, and expectations as far as fundraising and what have you were expressed at those meetings. As I mentioned during our deliberations last week, I suspect I'm not going to be the most favourite person in the world in that the 1.3 was going to kick in next year. Well, it's not. It's now our tier 4, but I stick to my guns that there's a lot of water to go under this particular bridge yet, and at the end of the day, if that water does flow, they can always come back. But I just can't see anything miraculous happening, despite things needing to happen miraculously. Just some patience and keep in contact, keep us advised, and likewise with any potential partners, and most of you are aware of one possibility in that regard, but they themselves are a long way off as yet. They don't even know the value of what they own, so that's something they need to do. Main Power Stadium, the PV panel proposal has been received by Main Power. This was looking at covering part of the building and solar to offset operation expenses. The current proposal looks pretty good in terms of the financial model. A report will come to CNR with further information. W Paul, some of you will recall hoist. Ordering of the new hoist has now occurred. We're expecting this to be delivered in the next few weeks. Regular Library, the shelving design is being finalised before going out to tender. The castle, which is in the middle of the library, could be affected. Staff are just working through what that might mean for the library space. That's all from me. Yeah, community development.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've already sent through a report. I'll just highlight a couple of things and one additional thing, and that is the first one is the virtual wins trial, which is being conducted at the moment in the Hiranui for Colvin and Cheviot residents. It means that those that are unable to come to the WINS office here in Rangiora, they can actually go in on Teams and actually have a virtual appointment with the WINS team members. As I said, once this trial, or if this trial is a success, it will then be rolled out and has then the potential for the likes of clients in Kaiapoi or Woodend, Oxford or whatever, is that they could actually dial in and instead of actually physically visiting the office in €1. So it's going to save a lot of mileage for a lot of clients and a lot of heartache of actually getting to the WINS offices. The other thing, which is not in my report, relates to I had a catch up with the community wellbeing team in Kaiapoi, and they indicated about 33 people living in their cars in Kaiapoi alone. One thing I'd like to just highlight is that one of those people was over 65, and Jean from the property team who looks after our elderly persons units took that person and got them housed within a week. She was absolutely wonderful, they said, to deal with in terms of getting that person out of their car and into a home which is owned by the WDC. So congratulations to Jean. I'd certainly like that to be passed on if that was possible, Mr. Millwood. If there's any other questions to anything else that I've sent through. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councillor Blackie,
Thank you. The art strategy we held it here in the chamber a couple of weeks ago. It was a fairly small attendance, but very passionate. Brent was there, so we've kicked that off, and now it officially exists. And Tessa, as we speak, is getting together the job description for her 50 half FTE facilitator, and it'll be under her wing, who's going to manage and do all the coordination and facilitating that we hope this art strategy is going to encompass. So we should have someone there by about July, employed by about July, we hope. What else? The arts, Silverstream, the music, Nigel Cox, Brent covered that off earlier today. The arts Collection Trust, which own all the artwork in this building and a few other buildings. We're having a meeting next week. This is a bit of a preempt, but there's 4 or 5, maybe 6 paintings, all paintings, that are so dark, dismal and depressing that the mayor, myself and Sarah won't hang them anywhere in the building. So we'll be making a decision on putting them back on the market, which, and some of them are quite supposedly valuable. So unless we haven't put this past the committee, one of them's 3 metres by 2 metres of John the Baptist, what's the name, that Salome, with John the Baptist's head on a platter, all done in black. If you want that on the walls of the council chamber to speak now or forever hold your peace. But so we'll be putting some of those back on the market, and that'll give us some funding to increase the collection. And that's pretty much me.
thank you very much. Councillor Keats.
Are you wanting to increase the collection?
Well, perhaps, I don't know, it'd be a
Okay.
decision. I mean, if these all sell at what we paid for them, we're looking at $15,000-$20,000 in the kitty. So,
okay.
And we exist to increase the collection. So I presume we'll be buying more stuff here.
Thank you.
Nothing further. So I go through the questions. I have none. I have no urgent general business. And the next meeting will be the 23rd of July. So thank you, members. Thank you, Madam Secretary. We call the meeting to a close.